only visa in the UK where you do not need an IELTS score to get your work visa, or you do not even need a sponsored job in order to get this visa. This visa gives you the opportunity to work and live in the UK for 2 years, especially if you are an Indian. And the best part about it is that most slots for it will be opened at the end of this month in July. So if you are an Indian who's planning to come to the UK, then let me inform you that now's your chance. This is the golden opportunity for you. But before we move ahead, let me remind you, my name is Nikita and I make videos about coming to the UK as a healthcare professional, cracking those interviews and landing those jobs in order to work over here. And if any of this is of interest to you, do not forget to drop me a subscribe on YouTube because I release videos twice a week. But also follow me on Instagram. My handle is Physiotherapy in UK. So let's get into the details. So you would have guessed it by now. The visa, the opportunity that I am going to talk about is the Youth Mobility Visa. Now, the Youth Mobility Visa is a ballot scheme. So that just means that you can put in your application and they will just select random applications based on the eligibility requirements for that particular visa draw. And from there onwards, you can go on to apply for a visa opportunity. Now, the best part about this is that this opportunity is only valid for Indian citizens. So obviously, if you are living in India between the ages of 18 to 30, this is a brilliant opportunity for you. A lot of spaces for this visa were released out earlier this year in February. That was about 3,000 spaces. But what is going to be released now in July is that if any of those spaces have gone vacant, say for example, people have tried to apply but have got unsuccessful visa applications, or if there were any other reasons for which candidates were not able to apply in the February lot, those slots will now be released out in July. Now, for more details about it, let's just see what the gov.uk website has to say. So talking more about the India Young Professional Scheme, obviously this is going to be out in the last few days of July. That could be anywhere between the 26th of July to 30th, but this is not certain. So before you pounce on me, they've just stated that obviously it's going to come out in July, but we still don't know when that's going to happen. And if you want to sort of take it a step further, what you can do is subscribe to my channel right now, because I will put out posts related to this as soon as there are any updates on the gov.uk website. But also, if you want to take it a step further, as you can see on your screens right there, you can set up email alerts for yourself. But what you need to do is create an account for yourself so that you can then access any email alerts that the visa office or the home office might send to you via generic emails. So be sure to do that, but also subscribe to my channel. But as you can see on your screens right there, we're just going to have a quick whistle stop tour of what is the India Young Professional Scheme visa and what does it entail. So coming down to what the visa has to say, the first thing that you need to remember is that this visa scheme allows people between the ages of 18 to 30 years old to live in the UK for up to 2 years. And in those 2 years, you can choose to work in the UK, which is again a great opportunity, because many of y'all would be aware that in order to get a work visa in the UK, you need to land a sponsored job. And now landing the sponsored jobs are very far and few between, and not because there are no jobs available within the healthcare system. Truly, there are so many jobs out there, but the difficulty is that many international candidates either do not meet the requirements for the role or are not able to show their suitability for these roles. Now, again, if you are somebody who is struggling to land those interviews, please do not forget to book a one-to-one session with me where we can go over your entire job application and discuss that important supporting information section so that you stand better chances to land those interviews. But let's come back to what the India Young Professional Scheme has to say. So as you can see right there, the eligibility states that you need to be an Indian citizen between the ages of 18 to 30 years old, and you need to have an eligible qualification. We'll speak a little bit more about that in a second. But also what's really important to know is that you need to have £2,530 in savings. Now again, let me remind you that these savings can be money in your bank account, whether that's your current account, savings account, can either be held in FDs as well. But obviously any money that is invested in mutual funds or stocks is not accessible, or any money that is under your parents' names is not accessible. You can be a joint holder or a joint account holder, but most of this money needs to be under your name to show that you have the funds to sustain your life in the UK for the first few months while you are here. Just going a little bit more into those eligibility requirements, as you can see on your screens right there. Another eligibility requirement that's really important to remember is that you do not need to have any children under the ages of 18 who live with you or who you are financially responsible for, because as a part of this visa, you are not allowed to get dependents along with you. If you have any children where you want them to accompany you on this particular visa category, maybe this is not the best visa opportunity for you. And I would say to just go back to the work visa or the health and care visa, because obviously that visa gives you opportunities to get your dependents along with you. Now, again, another important and crucial thing to remember is because the scheme has been running now for the last year and this year, if you've already been in the UK under the Youth Mobility Scheme, you cannot make applications under this scheme again. So you cannot re-enter the ballot because that is just not allowed, as you can see on your screens right there. The other important thing for you to remember is that you need to have a qualification at a UK bachelor's degree level or above, or an overseas qualification at a degree level or above. Now, just to make this really clear, because many of you all were earlier concerned about whether diplomas will be acceptable, just let me inform you right now is that diplomas are acceptable, but these diplomas need to be for at least 3 years or above. We have seen candidates in the past where, let's just take these scenarios where they've got 12 standard pass and they've taken either a 1 year or a 2 year diploma with varying degrees of experience and they've been unsuccessful. We've also seen a couple of candidates who've got 10 standard pass and then they've taken 1 or 2 year diplomas and they've also been unsuccessful, because remember that this is not a bachelor's degree equivalent, which is what this particular visa scheme is asking for. So what it means is that if you have a 12 standard pass certificate and following that you've done a 3-year diploma or anything more than that, then you should be successful. Also, if you've done a bachelor's degree in any sort of sciences or in commerce or in arts or in any other fields, as far as it's a bachelor's degree, it is considered still equivalent to the UK standards, and so you should be eligible for this particular visa category. I hope this has made sense, but if not, do drop me a comment below and I will try to get back to you about this. Another really important thing which I think a lot of applicants have forgotten about in the last 2 ballot schemes, which is a reason for massive rejections in the last 2 ballot schemes even, has been the ability to financially support themselves and show those maintenance funds in their balance accounts. As you can see over there, it says that you need to have at least 2,530 in your bank account to show that you can support yourself in the UK. You need to have this money available for at least 28 days in a row, and day 28 must be within 31 days of applying for this visa. Now, what this just means to say is, assuming that this visa ballot opportunity will come at the end of July, my recommendation to you would be to have this money already stored somewhere in a savings account, in a current account under your name, just because when this ballot opportunity comes, you will ideally get a decision letter within 2 weeks, and following that, you will be asked to make a visa application. Now, at that point, if you don't have this money already and you are trying to struggle in terms of getting those finances, because let's just take the fact that, 2,530 pounds is essentially 2,50,000, and it is a lot for India to have that money just lying around in their accounts. So I would say, take this opportunity right now, gather your finances, put it in an account, because then from here onwards, we just need 28 days for that money to be there in your account and you will be good to go to make that visa application should you be selected. Now, in terms of what are the steps for this particular ballot system, the first thing you need to do is need to check that you've met all of the eligibility requirements, and we've just discussed that. And following that, on the specific day when the ballot opens, you just need to make an application into the ballot system. Now, remember, there is no first come first select basis over here, so do not be stressed. The ballot is open for a total of 48 hours is what we've seen over the last few times that the ballot's been open. So if you are not able to get in there early, that's fine. Take your time. It's open for the whole duration of the 48 hours. And what we've also seen is that due to the sheer number of applicants making those applications, there can be a crash or a delay or longer waiting times in order to make the application through the ballot. So do not be stressed. Maybe do it later in the night when the site is obviously a little less used. But once you've made the application into the ballot, if you are successful, you will receive an invitation to apply for the visa. For that, obviously, you need to prepare a list of documents. Now, if you are confused about what are these documents that we are talking about, please do not forget to check out this video where I've explained about it in massive detail. Because what you can do is, once you've watched this video, you can also take a step back, go through all of the documents, start preparing those, and keep yourselves ready, because then in case you are selected in the ballot and you are one of those lucky ones, you can just segregate your documents and put that visa application forward. And lastly, you obviously need to apply for the visa itself. Now, in terms of applying for the visa, this is another crucial point which I think a lot of people have missed in the past. So I just want to highlight that here. It says that if you are successful in the ballot, you need to apply for this visa within a specific deadline, which is highlighted on your invitation to apply. And this is usually 30 days after you get your invitation. So that's sort of a month period. And like I said, this is why you want to have your finances in check, your documents in check, because if you don't have any of this and you get that invitation to apply because you've been a lucky chosen member, but because you don't have all of these requirements in place, you might miss that deadline of 30 days and you will miss the opportunity of coming to the UK because of your silliness. So do make sure you have all of the requirements that I've stated earlier in this video ready. Just in terms of, again, getting a decision, as you can see, once you've applied online and proved your identity and provided your documents, you should usually get your visa decision within 3 weeks. Another important factor, which I think is really important to talk about, because most of us in India are obviously middle class and we need to make sure we have those financial requirements settled off first, is to think about how much is it going to cost us financially. So firstly, you need to remember that the application fee stands at £298, which is roughly about 30,000 rupees. You then have to pay an immigration health surcharge, which is at 1,552. And like I've said before, you need to prove that you have about a personal saving of nearly £2,530. What's also crucial to remember over here is that your visa application fee will not be refunded if your application is rejected. Now, that's it from today's video, guys. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below and I will try to get back to them. Take care.